Good morning and welcome to my kitchen on this chilly fall day. I thought that it would be fun if I took you along with me while I make us some waffles for breakfast. The first thing that I need to do is to measure out 438 grams of soft white wheat berries. We'll get this put away so we can have some space to mix up the waffles. Before I got my grain mill, I would always make this recipe with all-purpose flour. So if you want to make it with all-purpose flour, go ahead and use about 2 3/4 cup or a little less than that of flour. Just measure it in. If you're measuring out your milled flour, then it's going to be about 4 cups of flour. To our flour, we're going to add in 4 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. And we also need to grab a measuring cup for our sugar. We're going to add in 1/4 cup of sugar. I like to use cane sugar for this. You could also add in honey if you chose, or you could use white sugar. I like to whisk these dry ingredients together just to get them all incorporated. And now we're going to measure out our wet ingredients. These waffles are buttermilk waffles, so we are going to need 2 cups of buttermilk. And to that we will add 2 eggs. I like to crack my eggs into a measuring cup just to make sure that I don't get any shell in my waffles. We're also going to add in 1½ teaspoons of vanilla and whisk these all together. I have 6 tablespoons of butter that I have here that I melted and let cool. So I'm going to add that into my liquids as I whisk. And we'll just make sure we get all of that out of here. And we'll pour it right in with our dry ingredients. We usually alternate each weekend by having either waffles or pancakes. And today I decided that I would make these waffles for breakfast, and whatever we don't eat, I'm going to freeze them and see how they turn out for having them as a quick breakfast later on for when we have maybe a busier morning where I don't want to have to try to make a breakfast for us. Having some waffles in the freezer will be nice just to be able to reheat them quickly and then be on our way. All right, now that I have all of the flour mixed in, I like to put this aside and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes just to continue soaking in the moisture. And while we wait for that, we will get our waffle iron out and get that heating up. With this waffle recipe, I find that it calls for enough butter that I don't even need to grease the waffle iron. The waffles come out easily. I've been experimenting a lot lately with fresh milled flour and using whole grains, converting my recipes that I've been making for several years into recipes with whole grains. And I would have to say that this waffle recipe has probably been the easiest recipe to switch from using all-purpose flour into using a soft white wheat that I'm milling. And it has been one that really the texture and flavor has only improved by using the whole wheat, where a lot of recipes that I've switched to, I've kind of had trouble going back and forth using part all-purpose, part fresh milled, and trying to find that balance of where the food that I'm making doesn't feel too dense or too heavy with the whole wheat. This one, I find right off the bat, I was able to make it with 100% fresh milled flour, and it came out perfect. And every time it's been turning out perfect. No one in the family has really commented anything other than, wow, these are so good. Having them with the fresh milled. Whereas some of the other recipes, it seems like when I'm making them, people are kind of a little iffy on either the tenderness of it or the density of it. And so I end up going back and maybe laying off a little bit of the fresh milled flour and adding more of all-purpose flour back into it and trying to find where does that balance work best for each different recipe. This one, if you are thinking about starting to mill your own flour and you're a little bit nervous about switching over from all-purpose, this recipe I think is perfect for beginners because you can just go full on fresh milled flour and you will only be happy with the result from it. It's been delicious. Now that our waffle iron is nice and hot, we'll start pouring in our batter. I like to pour the batter right in the center, and you want to make sure that you're not putting in too much because all of the baking powder that we added really helps these waffles to puff up quite a bit. And if you put too much in, you're going to be spilling out all around the edges. With our waffle iron, it has a setting from 1 to 6, and I like to cook our waffles at the setting of 4. I find out they turn out perfect at that temperature. Ooh, that one wanted to jump right out. This waffle iron we've been using for about 14 years, maybe a little bit more than 14 years. I bought this waffle iron for my husband the year that my son was born. We got it for him for a Father's Day gift, and we've been using it quite frequently ever since. So it's been a great investment for us. I'm going to set some of these on a wire rack so they can start cooling and we can stick them in the freezer. And then the rest of them I will just pop right onto our plates. We'll get the last little bit on here. Depending on how full I fill up the waffle iron, this recipe can make anywhere from 6 to 7 waffles. These waffles are delicious on their own. You could serve them up with some fresh fruit or make some homemade whipped cream for the top. Any way you decide to serve them, they will definitely be a crowd pleaser. Thank you for taking some time to join me in the kitchen today. If you decide to try this recipe, I would love to hear how it turned out. And if you are interested in hearing about some more recipes like this, please hit subscribe and you'll be notified for the next video. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.